Hey guys, it's Becky. I'm going to see if I can walk you through a few things on Fat Secret to help everybody be able to stay on track with that. First of all, you're looking at my iPad here. The icon for Fat Secret on the mobile app is right here. It's got this keyhole. So I'm going to select that, and it takes me to my home view of my food log. I'm going to click on tomorrow, and I'm going to start planning some of my food for tomorrow. So first thing, I select the plus signal, the plus sign on food, and this gives me 4 meal slots: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. I eat more times than that in a day, so I will usually log more than one thing into my snacks. So for breakfast, I usually make myself an oatmeal dish, and when I select the breakfast option, it pulls up several different choices. Recently eaten foods. You can see here that the longer you work with this app, the more options it gives you. So things that I've recently eaten for breakfast are all listed right here. Then it also keeps track of the things I eat the most for breakfast. So I can look through both of those menus to find things that I eat often or that I ate frequently. Now, for my breakfast, I actually have some saved meals. So I have a high protein hot oatmeal that I make myself in the morning, and I've saved it in my saved meals. So the nice thing is, it's this high protein hot cereal. All I have to do is go into my saved meals and select the high protein hot cereal, add selected, and it puts all of those ingredients into my breakfast for tomorrow. There they are. So to save a meal, you first have to select each of the individual ingredients. So you can go to your search items screen if you don't have much in your food log yet, and then I can click right on here and I can look for things such as egg whites. So I'm going to type in egg whites. Go with the simplest. Usually the first option in the food log is the one that's that's been programmed by the Fat Secret team. Other options here can often be things that have been recorded either by members like ourselves or food manufacturers. So for accuracy's sake, choose the first option whenever possible. I pull up an egg white. I use about a 1/4 cup of egg whites to make my hot cereal. So to get this amount to be correct, I'm going to select this option to change the serving size. So if I'm using a 1/4 cup, then I change my serving size to cups. I'm going to change to a 1/4 cup, and then it's going to give me the breakdown for a 1/4 cup of egg whites. So I can see, even before I log it in, if it's the amount of protein that I actually need. I can compare this side by side to my actual menu breakdown. All right, so if that's correct, then I can add selected, and it'll save it into my menu. Once I have found each of the foods, then I can copy them to a saved meal. So I go down here to these 3 little dots, and when you are using an Android or some of the other, even just a smartphone, the 3 dots are sometimes up here, or sometimes you have to select a drop-down menu that then pulls up some options. So I select this little options, and I say I'm going to copy this to a saved meal. And the breakfast 5 foods is the only thing that I've entered so far, so I'm going to pull that up and select the option, and select obviously breakfast because it's the only one that I have, and then I'm going to name it. You have a couple of things that you can do here. So I've named a lot of my foods just what they are, but if you're trying to change your macronutrients every single week, then you could possibly name this according to the numbers to the actual macros in the meal. Then it makes it easy to see when you're looking things up. So I could actually say, see, looking at my macronutrients over here, I could say, well, this meal is meal 1. So this is my first non-workout meal of the day. So I'm going to say, okay. Then I'm going to say I want it available for any time I eat it in case my meal 1 ends up being later because I work out first. Okay, then here in meal 1, I'm also going to call it, it's got 4 grams of fat, 16 grams of carbs, 18 grams of protein. So I'm going to actually just put that. So I'll put 4 fat / 16 carbs / and 17 protein. Okay, I can put a description here if I want. So I can say this is my hot cereal. And then I can say that I'm done and save it. So what happens if I have a change in my macros? Then I can go back in and I can go to one of my saved meals. So I can pull up one that I use frequently, and then I can add a food to it so that the macronutrients change so that it fits my new numbers. Okay, so let's go back to my menu for the day. I've got my breakfast entered in, but I'm going to compare this now to my actual breakdown for the day. So in the food log that I have listed that I have in the breakdown that I've given to myself, I have estimated that I need at least 55 grams of carbohydrates at breakfast. So you can see that 16 grams of carbs in my meal 1 is not enough. So I'm comparing now to my actual food log, or to my actual macro breakdown, so that I can get my food log to match it. And this is what planning ahead will do for you. I'm going to add some things to this then. It gets pretty difficult. I love fruits, I love vegetables, I love sweet potatoes, natural foods, things that have to be refrigerated, things that haven't been processed are absolutely wonderful for you. Their grains, I think, have gotten a little bit of a bad rap though. Especially when your carbohydrates start to get up there, it's helpful to have extra grains, to add some grains to your menus, because they're higher in carbohydrates and it's easier to reach your numbers without so much volume that you feel sick to your stomach or bloated. Also, higher carb foods don't add as much fiber at the time, and as I've mentioned to you guys, too much fiber at once can actually cause some gastric distress. So to add some additional carbohydrates to my day, then I am going to use Bob's Red Mill gluten-free muesli. So in my search for food, let's see if I can pull it up in my recently eaten breakfast options. So I'm going to come here, there it is, gluten-free muesli, Bob's Red Mill. So I'll select this, and I need to get to about, I'm going to try to get to 55 grams of carbohydrates for my meal. The muesli, if I have 2 times their serving size, which is a 1/4 cup, or 58 grams, so this is nice because you can weigh it. So if one serving size is 29 grams, then I can just double that, and then I can put that in to my menu. So let's see, once I add the gluten-free muesli, look, that puts me at 54, and I was shooting for 55 grams. Okay, I have set myself up to have about 25 grams of protein at a time and also 10 grams of fat in my non-workout meals. So this works very well for me. I can now, even though the hot oatmeal is a saved meal, if I want to now add the muesli to it just so that I can just pop it in every day this week, I can save this as a new meal and list the macros just like I showed you guys how to do. So for now, I know that my breakfast is going to work for me. What about my pre and post workout meals? That's when I need the greatest number of carbohydrates. So I'm going to shoot for 65 to 70 grams of carbohydrates for my pre and post workout meals. That's what I've estimated for myself. And I'm going to put both of those in snacks. So this is the time, my personal preference is to have sweet potatoes. I'll put in my sweet potatoes. I'm going to need, let's see, so if I go with grams of sweet potato, 100 grams of sweet potato now is going to give me 20 grams of carbs. If I need to have 65 grams of carbohydrates, then I'm going to have to triple that. I need 300 grams of sweet potato. Well, that's like a potato and a half, so maybe I don't want quite that many. So I'm going to do a combination. 200 grams of the sweet potato. Let's try that. That's pretty close to a 2-cup serving. And once you've weighed something, then you can get a measurement of it, and that'll help speed your time up. So here I am, 200 grams of sweet potato. I'll add that to my menu. Into snacks. Okay, that gives me 40 grams of carbs. So I'm going to have with that a granola bar. I really like the cashew bars. I think those have pretty decent ingredients in them, and they taste good. So I'm going to use a cashew dark mocha almond chewy bar and put that in as well. So I have now my sweet potato and my cashew bar. I'm looking at 61 grams of carbs and only 3 grams of fat. So I've kept my fat low and I've got my carbs up high. It looks like I need just a little more, but I'm going to need some protein in here. So let me get the protein in, and then I can start adjusting things if I need to by a few grams here or there to try to get my macros as close as possible. I think I'll probably have some chicken, and if you use boneless, skinless chicken, I like to get mine from Costco. So their brand is Kirkland Signature Boneless, Skinless Chicken Breasts, and 112 grams, which is the same as 4 ounces, you see that there, is what a regular sized chicken breast is. Now notice, 112 grams of chicken, look at this, if I change it to grams, 112 grams does not give me 112 grams of protein, okay? There's water weight, there are other components in this that don't count towards grams of protein, fat, or carbs. So don't get that confused. If I tell you you need 25 grams of protein, that doesn't mean you need 25 grams of weight. So 112 grams or mass of chicken gives me 25 grams of protein. All right, now I'm trying to get 25 grams of protein at a time. So a 4-ounce serving of chicken breast is ideal if that was my only protein. But I don't know if you remember what the menu already said. I'm getting some protein from both my cashew bar and from my sweet potato. Vegetables and grains have small amounts of protein in them, so you have to account for that in your meals. I'm going to adjust this then. So I'm going to take this down to, let's go with about 85 grams, and that's going to take me a little lower. So let's save that and see what it looks like in my menu. Okay, that puts me at 28 grams of protein. So I'm going to need to adjust a little bit, but first let's fix the sweet potatoes. Let me get the carbs up. So I'm going to change the grams a little bit higher. And I'm going to take this up. Let's try for 210 grams of the sweet potato. Now if I save that, that has me almost there. And you know, you can be absolutely meticulous if you want, or you can get really close. Try to stay within 3 grams of fat in each meal and within 5 grams of carbs and protein in each meal, and then for the day, and that'll get you to some really nice numbers. Okay, so if I take my carbs up to 65 by changing the sweet potato, it also changes my protein a little bit. Now let's adjust the protein. So let's take the chicken breast down a little bit lower. I'll take that down to 75.